Hi there, I'm Aman from and you're watching PTO classes. So I'm back with another lesson from grade 7th English, and today we are going to conclude the chapter that we started in the last video, that was father, friend and foe. I have already explained what does friend means, okay, how fire is a friend, and foe's meaning also I have given that it means enemy. So in the last video I have introduced you with the chapter that how fire came to existence and everything. Today we are going to learn some more characteristics of fire, and we are going to see in depth that how fire is our friend and how fire is our foe. So it is a very nice chapter, very easy chapter, and we are going to conclude the chapter. You are going to learn everything about fire, and this is very useful. How? Because I have already told you it is a phenomena that is related to science, that is related to social science and GK, and of course it is relating to the our subject literature also. So this is one of the most important chapter of your book, because it is not only a story, but it is something more than that. In this unit you are going to study the topics like these only, okay, like this only. We are going to have one more chapter like this, that is the story of cricket, okay, and this also is not a story. This is not a common literature chapter, but it is a chapter which is relating to science, social science and general knowledge, which deals with a life also. It is a factor, it is a phenomena that we must understand in order to understand the current things also, in the general things also. It is a very generic chapter, and it doesn't tell us a story, but it tells us about something which is a natural phenomena. A natural phenomena, fire, okay, a natural phenomena. So we are going to understand fire, friend and foe entirely in this chapter, in this video rather, and we are going to conclude our chapter. So I am Aman from DPS Sandwani Ramachor. You are watching PTO classes. Stay connected so understand what fire really is.
So now we are going to take a look in the second half of the chapter. We are going to finish our chapter. We have already done part 1 of the chapter in the previous video, and I have explained you all of that. So we are reading the chapter, and we are continuing the chapter, and you all know now that how fire is originated. I have explained in the first half, and you know that how fire is our friend, and of course how it is our foe. Foe, you know, enemy, and you know that how fire can be a friend by helping us. Who is a friend? A friend always helps us. He is present there in our bad times, in our good times, and he is a good part of our life. And who is our foe? Someone who doesn't want our good, someone who always is on our opposite path, and someone who wants to uh, put us in a situation where we are harmed. Okay, it want to harm us. So this you all know. Now let's see that how to control the fire, how we can stop it. We all know that how fire is generated. Three things that we discussed. Okay, the three things that are needed to start a fire uh, are there: oxygen, heat and what? Fuel. Okay, oxygen, fuel and heat. Now there are three ways to control the fire. in which a fire can be put out. And in each of the way, what we do, out one of the three things we remove one that is required for burning the fire that is required to burn it something. We remove one thing so that the fire is not generated. That's how we can control the fire. So let's see how these three ways are. First, okay, for example, we can take away the fuel. Okay, firstly, what is the element that are there? Oxygen, fuel and heat. So first possible way that is there to control the fire is to eliminate fuel from the process. If the fire has no fuel to feed on, no burning can take place. We often let a fire die out simply by not adding more fuel to it. Okay, add fuel to the fire is a very famous idiom, a proverb to say or do something that makes people react more strongly and more fiercely. Okay, adding fuel to the fire. When you have chingari, when you have that little spark and you add fuel to it, it takes the shape of a big fire. So when you add some fuel over it, what happens? It takes the shape of a fire. So when we eliminate the fuel, the fire will not become that threatening, that big. Okay, the second way of putting out a fire is to prevent oxygen from reaching it. Okay, fuel is present there, heat is there, but we eliminate oxygen from reaching it. No supply of oxygen means no fire. Okay, when there is no oxygen, that means no fire. Small fires can be put out or smothered with a damp blanket. Smothered means suffocated. Okay, with a damp blanket. This you must have seen a lot of time if you have seen in a movie or in reality also you have seen. Then what is a very good way to control the fire? You put blankets over where the fire is. If someone catches fire, if a person is burning also, we put blanket to smother it. Okay, to stop it. So a damp blanket or a sack. Okay, this stops oxygen reaching the burning material. So when we stop oxygen to reach the fire, it gradually becomes low. It does not allow oxygen to reach the burning material. The third way of putting out a fire is to remove the heat. Three elements are there. First one was to remove the fuel, not to add the fuel. Second, to remove the oxygen, to suffocate it, to use a damp blanket or a sack. The third way is to remove the third element that is required to generate fire. And what is that? It is heat. Okay, if the temperature can be brought down below the flash point we have already discussed in the previous video. And now the third way is, if the fire's temperature can be brought down where? To the below the flash point. Every fire has its own flash point. If we lower it down to the flash point, from the flash point the fuel stops burning. Okay, you blow on a burning matchstick or a candle to put it out. In doing so, you remove the hot air around the flame. We normally in our birthdays we blow the candles out. So when the temperature is lowered down, if you will blow air, okay, from your mouth, what will happen? A cold air will pass, and what will happen? The temperature of the flame will go down. So that's how you can blow it out. In doing so, you remove the hot air that is around the flame, bringing down its temperature below the flash point, and the candle goes out. Sometimes water is sprayed on fire, you must have seen, okay, to control the temperature only. It absorbs heat from the burning fuel and lowers the temperature. Okay, when it lowers the temperature, what happens? The fire is removed, fire is stopped. The blanket of water also cuts off the supply of oxygen and the fire is extinguished. Okay, heat also is controlled in a way and oxygen is also controlled. Some fires cannot be put out with water. Okay, some fire doesn't stop with water only. If water is sprayed onto an oil fire where oil has been used, the oil will float to the top of the water and continue to burn. Okay, when oil is there, the fire will not be stopped by simply sprinkling the water. This can be very dangerous because water can flow quickly. Okay, this is a very dangerous thing as water can flow quickly. Okay, carrying the burning oil. Okay, when water will flow, it will carry the burning oil and it will be on top of it and it will spread and the fire will be more the quantity will be more. Water should also not be used on fires caused by electrical appliances. Okay, where oil is used, where the electric current is there, so there we have to avoid sprinkling or throwing water over the fire. The person is spraying water, okay, the one who is spraying water, okay, will be harmed by it. We spend millions of rupees each year. Okay, wait. Okay, the person spraying water might receive an electric shock. This is very normal. If water is a what water is a bad conductor of electricity. Okay, you have seen the movie Three Idiots. In that they peed on the guy he peed on that spoon and it was connected to the wire and it was having electricity. So salt water is a bad conductor of electricity, so he got a shock. So a carbon dioxide extinguisher is the best thing to fight an electrical fire. In your school also you must have seen those red cylinders. Those are fire extinguishers. Okay. Now we spend millions of rupees each year in fighting fires. Okay, every year we spend a lot of bucks, lot of money to control the fire. Okay, fighting the fire, and we spend more trying to find new ways of preventing fires from happening and getting out of control. Okay, we spend much more money on research that we can search a way in order, a new technique, a new way in order to control the fire. Okay, so this is something we spend a lot of money over it to stop the fire, to control the fire. On the whole, we have learned rather well to control fire and put it to good use in our everyday life. Okay, we have learned from our researches that it is better to use fire in a good way in our day-to-day life rather than searching a way to control it. Okay, long ago there were no firemen. Okay, there were no such facility of firemen and firefighters. When fire broke out, everybody became a firefighter. Okay, when fire used to broke out, everyone became firefighters. People formed human chains, they still do if required. Okay, and passed buckets of water. You can see, you can picturize what a scene would have been there. People passing buckets to control the fire. Okay, from a pond or well or wherever they can get a source of water, they pass the buckets to control the fire, so that it is easier, because if one person will carry the bucket and run, it will require much more energy and time, so they pass it on to each other. Now there are laws about building construction which ensure that space is left between buildings to reduce the fire risk. Okay, if the buildings will be closed, okay, they will be sorry, nearby, what will happen, the fire will spread quickly, and if we have gaps between the buildings, the fire will not spread that quickly, the risk will be less. Every new building, especially public place, must ensure observance of fire prevention norms, okay, that the norms created by government are followed thoroughly. Bands of firefighting workers with special equipment known as fire brigades are there to put out fires. Fire brigade, this word must be familiar with you. You must have known it. Okay, you must know it. That fire brigades are there. Sorry, and this is it. Firefighters are highly trained people. Okay, equipment, here a meaning is there that things required to put out the fire. So firefighters are highly trained people, they are the experts, and they possess many skills. Okay, they know a lot about this, and they cut off electricity supply, they cut off the electric supply, knock down dangerous walls, spray water and other materials to bring fire under control. So they are trained people, they are skilled people, and though they know several ways to control the fire, they act like soldiers. Okay, they are also trained in first aid, they know how to treat the people, the first aid, they know how to do it. And here you see a picture of which we were talking about, that people carrying the buckets, and they are trying to control the fire. Okay, so they know how to do first aid also, so that when the people are in need of medical facility, of medical attention, they don't need to run to a clinic or so, because that way they will be burned more. So fire personnel, the fire fighter knows how to treat a people or person, sorry, in the initial stage. The discovery of fire and its uses helped early men to cope with nature better. Okay, when the fire was invented by early human, it helped the early men to cope. Okay, cope means deal with or manage, to deal with nature better, and gradually adopt a settled mode of life, to adopt a better way to deal with life, to cook and everything. You know this, you must be knowing well, it is a part of SST also. Fire is still worshipped in many parts of world. In our country itself, in every puja, the havan is there, and havan, you know, fire is there. So we treat fire as a god. Okay, fire is indeed a friend. Okay, fire therefore is always a friend to us, we know it. And we also know that it can be dangerous enemy once it gets out of control. Okay, so fire in a sense is a very good friend of ours, and also if it can't be controlled very early, it can be very, very, very dangerous. Okay, so this thing you must be you must keep in mind, that fire is not that bad if it is controlled, okay, properly. If we know how to control the fire, we don't have to play with fire, as it can be very harmful.
Okay, so here the story concludes. We have understood what fire is. We have got that what is fire, how it came into existence. Existence means how it developed, how it originated, and we have seen what are these characteristics of fire. Characteristics of fire. And we have also seen what are how fire is nice chapter. So I hope you have understood the chapter entirely, fire, friend and foe, and you have done the work that I have given you in the last video. In this video also I am giving you some work. I hope you will do it by your own. The question answers I am providing you, but one thing is there, you must do the questions on your own also. Don't open the PDF, don't see the solutions, don't go after Google, just write the answers on your own so that it is clear that you understood the chapter, and later on you can watch it, you can open the PDF and you can correct your answers. So I am Aman from TPS Salwani Ramachar. You are watching PTO classes and we have concluded the chapter Fire, Friend and Foe. Thank you so much for watching the lecture.